Welcome again to another CheapWineFinder.com podcast for a wine we put on the CheapWineFinder.com. Got that in twice in the first 15 seconds. The website, and this one is called the Substance SB Sauvignon Blanc 2021. It's a yellow label. I'll get into why it's a yellow label wine is a big deal. This is a wine I found for $12. I think it lists for $15 on the House of Smith website. That's Charles Smith Wines out of Columbia Valley, Washington. And I kind of like their wines, always have. And here's one of the things I like about them. They have 200 wines, or 200 vintages of wines that have gotten 95 points or above, and they have gotten 1,200 reviews of wines getting 90 points. And yes, they have high-end wines that are, expensive, though most of their wines aren't crazy expensive. $100 is more like it. But they've always managed to get inexpensive, value-priced wines that regular wine drinkers can drink, even though they also deal in the expensive wines. So I always like that. I mean, yeah, they're doing $125 Syrahs that you can't find anywhere, but then they have this $12 Sauvignon Blanc that is delicious, and they didn't forget the regular wine drinkers. I gotta take a sip. I love their websites too, because they always give you a lot of information. Now, before this, there was a Black Label SB Sauvignon Blanc 2020 and down. The difference is the Black Label was a single vineyard wine that was oaked, French oak. It had a lot of new French oak aging, and they had a lot of it was fermented in oak. And this one isn't. This one is 4 different vineyards. They name the vineyards. They describe them. Every vineyard is in a cool climate area. I think it's about 1,300 plus up to about 1,650 up. So it's high altitude vineyards in a cool climate for a long growing season. And it's mostly 90% of the wine was aged and fermented in stainless steel tanks. And about 10% was aged and fermented in neutral French Bordeaux barrels. And that's the reason why you say Bordeaux barrel, that's the size. That's when you think of a barrel, that's the size you think of. The Black Label, which was heavily, like 10 months and, with a lot of new oak, used Rhone Valley size barrels, demi-mood, I think those are called, which are almost not quite, they're almost twice the size of a Bordeaux barrel. Not quite. That's the volume, how much wine compared to how much of the surface and that type of thing. You have nothing the wine drinker themselves have to worry about. That's winemaker stuff. But they've changed it, and I'm not sure why. I looked on the internet to see why did they change the yellow label to the Black Label, and they said the yellow label is Loire Valley style. If you know Sancerre or those wines, they're light, they're bright, they're full of flavors, got great noses. The more oak is Bordeaux style, Bordeaux Blanc. Those wines, you can age, the best of those wines, you can age for 25 years or more. I mean, they're some of the most age-worthy wines there is. Take a sip. But if you're going to do a $12 or $15 in the list price, Sauvignon Blanc, you probably should, there's nothing more, there's nothing, you're at the best. My personal opinion is Loire Valley Sauvignon Blanc is the best. I do like New Zealand, and there's other wines too that I like too. But Loire Valley, those wines are like sunshine in a bottle. They're great. You get a great one and a good vintage. The only problem is there's none of the producers. These are idiosyncratic French producers. There's no big producers. They don't bring them in here. You got to kind of find a smaller importer to bring them in to find them. The pricing is usually more than, New Zealand. even though they should be equal in price, they're not. So that they're doing this out of Columbia Valley from a big producer who knows how to make good wine is great. And is it Loire Valley? It's the Loire Valley style. Columbia Valley and Loire Valley ain't the same. They're just not. And but does that mean that this isn't a good wine? No, this thing tastes delicious. I mean, I like this wine. That was a sip. It doesn't have the spikiness of a New Zealand. The flavors are all balanced, because the New Zealand wines can be very bold. This has got good flavor, good aroma. There's a balance to it, which is kind of nice. And like a good winemaker balances his wine. He doesn't want there to be spikes. He wants it to be kind of a seamless whole. You don't want one thing above the other because that means you didn't do a good job. If you're gonna, you don't want a painter who doesn't put a big blotch in the corner and you don't look at everything else. You want, well, some nowadays they might, but technically speaking, you want it to be a whole. You want it to be everybody look at it as what it is. And this is a wine this is a really nice job. Great. I'm gonna be happy when I'm done. When I start doing production on the podcast, I'm gonna be happy to be sipping my wine. I'm gonna take another sip. I got the written tasting notes on the cheapwinefinder.com website. But this tastes, if you like Sauvignon Blanc, this is a wine you should be checking out. I never thought of the Columbia Valley as a place for Sauvignon Blanc. I've been surprised before. I found decent ones from Chile and maybe even Argentina, I think. That I was like, I never knew they had good wines there. But this wine is, I think they're onto something here. So that's it for me, Domain Dave, cheapwinefinder.com. I think I found a new favorite, Sauvignon Blanc. The Yellow Label, I've never tasted the Black Label, so I don't know the more Bordeaux style compares to the more Loire Valley style. I never even knew that Substance did Sauvignon Blanc. I've had their Cabernet Sauvignon, but I never had their Sauvignon Blanc. So there you go. That's it for me, Domain Dave. Like us where you like your podcast. Push a button somewhere. Push it 5 or 6 times. Well, you can, but I think only it works once. And that's it for me. Stay cool. Don't sweat a lot, which in Chicago it's impossible until September. And keep it cheap and be safe. And I'll be talking to you. I have a cheapie coming up after this one from Australia. So adios and bye-bye.